ahead and take off the waiting room so people can just join, and we're good to go. And then Mr. Eddie, I am going to make you a co-host just in case. Cool deal. And
Sure.
go ahead and get people muted. And all right, we are live. All right, can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Nope. Cool deal. All right. Let's rock and roll. Hey everybody, welcome to this week's edition of the Business Doctor Show. Doctor's in the house, John Pyron, and I got my co-host here because you can have a great business, but if you don't have enough capital, it's a hobby. So got my capital readiness specialist, Mr. Eddie Mohammed, my co-host in the house. What's going on, dude?
Another happy hump day, folks. Happy to be
Can you hear
here
me?
and share some wisdom and hopefully help. Oh,
All right, let me test the
can you hear
audio
me?
here real quick. Can everybody hear me?
I
Yeah,
hear
I
you.
hear you. I hear you fine, but Michael was breaking up or Eddie was breaking up when he was talking.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me now,
Um,
guys?
I can hear you now. Testing, testing. Can you hear me now?
All right.
There you go. All right. Cool deal. All right. So today is the third Wednesday of the month. And how this show works is every week since 2013 is when this show started, April of 2013. We led it with a theme, and there's four basic key core pillars in business. One of them is marketing, which we do on the first Wednesday of the month. Sales, second day, Wednesday of the month. Today is the third Wednesday of the month. We're talking about operations and systems. Next week, we're going to be talking about administrative and finance. So if you are listening to this show, listening to the recording, we're always looking for guest experts to be on the show. So if that's you, definitely go to johnpyron.com, click on the book appointment button, schedule a time. I'd love to chat with you about that. And so with that said, dude, we're talking about operations and systems, and you've been a business banker for, I don't know, how many years now? I don't want to make you sound too old.
Nah, that's fine. I got in right out of high school. I put in 20 solid
Now
years of
this is a
banking,
truth-based call, man.
and
You can't be embellishing the truth.
yeah, yeah. Raise your right hand before you speak. Yeah, 20 years in banking, and about to enter. Trying to think. Fifth. This will be the middle of this year to be exact. Like July of 2026 will be my 6th year of my company being in
Yeah.
existence. So we're talking about 26 years of helping business owners secure capital for growth, expansion, taking things to the next level, and just placing them in a capital readiness state, which is dubbed my title, capital readiness. So what does that look like? When companies have enough capital to be able to take action when faced with challenges and opportunities. I'm finding when companies become complacent or they tend to put things off, usually the cash flow problems. But if they're well capitalized, they're going to move pretty quick and take action and make things happen. So
Yeah.
that's what we look
No
to
doubt.
do. We look to do that for
Yeah.
folks.
So now when you're looking at, it says you and I have these conversations all the time, been having these conversations, I know, for 4 years now. When I refer customers to you, or you go into businesses, how important is it for a lender to, when they go to evaluate the business, how important is it that they have their act together when it comes to operations and systems?
Well, everything is connected, right? If you're up, it's like a chain, right? And the chain is only strong as its weakest link. So if that weakest link happens to be the operational piece, we need to get in there and fix that quickly because it could affect the rest of the chain. if the operation's in good order, but maybe they've made some financial mistakes or they were ill-advised of how to manage their finances and their tax strategies, then we look to remedy that problem too. So ultimately, we create one well-rounded, well-balanced chain. So yeah, I mean, you have to have the right people doing the right activities with the right focus, to make that mission statement come to life. But also, you have to make good, solid decisions when it comes to the company's finances and their future and so on and so forth. And obviously, your tax planning, exit strategy.
Yeah.
All the pieces just have to kind of be together. So you have to make prudent financial decisions for a company to grow and prosper, and ultimately, transition to the next level.
Yeah. So, I mean, where I ran into this being a very core issue. I mean, I've been in companies, I don't know, 35 years. Just had a conversation prior to this call starting with a consultant, coach consultant. He's going to really be more of a consultant um, out of California. He's been a client of mine since 2019, but he really wants to start learning how to be a coach and a consultant because he's been able to. I should have told him to be on this call, man, because I watched this dude. Actually took him on February or January of 2020, right before COVID. And he'd been in business for 3 years up to that point, and he was just stuck. Couldn't get beyond, I think, 120K or something like that. And so we started working together, and then COVID hit, and and that shifted everything because systems and processes became very important. We had to go lean. He went very, very, very lean, grew the business. Now, I mean, he just did shy of $1 million. Still does not have a single employee. Okay. Has contractors, systems, processes, and I've coached him along the way. Now he did the work. Okay. And the reason I'm saying that is because I've watched this dude be able to create a business where literally last year he was gone for 3 weeks to Japan. He was gone the last 2 weeks of the year. He went, I think, back in April, another 2 weeks down to San Diego, makes a crap ton of money, zero debt, and it's his systems and his processes. And so when things happen, he's not, I'm not going to lie, he had to work his butt off 75, 80 hours a week when we first started working together for about 5 months. And then he discovered I don't need to hire people if I have the right software, if I have the right tools, if I have the right systems in place. He's the guy. There's an app called Brain Toss, BrainToss, Brain Toss. $3.49, I think, is what you can buy it for on the Play Store or the Apple Store. And he's like, dude, you got to download this app. Like, he gave me this app, I think, in 2021. And so I looked at it, and I could program up to 5 people in the back, but I can do a 30-second memo, which is an audio that transcribes into text. I can create a note, okay, hand type a note or voice dictate a note, or I can upload photos from my phone or actually take a live photo. And once it's done, I press a button and it goes directly to my email. And then he showed me how to take the email, and every single email coming into my inbox that is from Brain Toss hits the inbox, goes right into a folder called Brain Toss. Every morning, I have a 30-minute appointment to just process the things that I would have wrote down on a Post-it note, I would have wrote down on a notepad, I would have wrote down in an app. All the thousands of ideas we have going through our brain as an entrepreneur every day, I have a way of now of capturing it without it bogging. Oh man, I got to remember to do that. Oh, I got to remember to do that. Right. And so fell in love with the app. And then And I did what he did as I was coaching him in his business, and we were talking about strategies, and I helped him through these processes and putting the right systems and the right software and everything in place. I discovered that as long as the front end is dialed, and now that I have a full-time, a full COO, a full-time executive assistant who's an airline traffic controller, a marketing CMO, a marketing assistant, and none of them are employees. Let me reiterate that. None of them are employees legally. Okay. They're all contractors. They all own their own businesses. Okay. So now, especially with an EA who is a Pepper Potts, if you don't know who Pepper Potts is, go back and watch the Iron Man movie and Tony Stark, and that's his right hand person. Everybody needs a Pepper Potts, right? So every time I get off a meeting now, every time I go off a networking event, every time, like, it doesn't matter if it's 10 o'clock at night, 2 in the morning, man. I wake up and I'll have an idea. I just whip out that app, press record. Hey, remember to do this, 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 and this. Remind me to do this, this, and this. My wife wants to do this, this, and this. My dog needs this. My cat needs this. Whatever it is. Everybody needs a Pepper Potts because it's not just business stuff that goes through your head. You got a whole life to live as an entrepreneur. And and so I have myself, my wife, Alicia, who's my EA, my COO, everybody programmed there. You can program up to 5 people. So when I do that voice memo, press and hold the button, I send it to her. It's off my plate. Like, it's gone. Like, I don't even know what happened to it. I just know that it gets done, because of the operations and the systems. Now, if you are a brand new business in startup mode, your very first hire or your very first system that you need to really work your tail off to create is a way for you to automate, delegate, or outsource your weaknesses. Okay, and you know this because you deal with a lot of business owners, dude. It's like, how many business owners do you run across, and here they are 3, 4, or 5 years into business, and they're still doing their own bookkeeping? That was a question.
Yeah, that's disturbing, because they're really stunting their growth by not learning to delegate and outsource a lot of these tasks, right? Because they're administrative tasks that eat up meaningful revenue producing time that you can use to grow the business versus operate a business. So yeah, and they just swear by it's the old school way of doing things, and this, but at the end of the day, they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. So they want different results. They're gonna have to start doing things different.
So what I have found is automating and delegating, and now they've touched, I don't know, thousands of business owners. I've run across too many business owners that are working 75, 85 hours a week. And when you pull back when you open up the hood and you look under the hood of the car, you realize you've got 12 employees, and all of them are just like you. And because you went with the mindset of, if I can just have somebody like me, I'm going to have my freedom. I'm going to get my time back. Challenge is you're hiring all your strengths and you still have all your weaknesses. And now what you did is you compounded the problem because you hired a bunch of people with the same weaknesses and the same strengths as you.
There you go.
And still nobody's automating, delegating, or outsourcing the weaknesses. And so I'm going through a 90-day transformation right now we have a program that we realized last year after we ran the numbers, because we have a system for auditing things now. And we ran the numbers, and out of the 67 new businesses we helped last year, the common things were the business owner is working 75 plus hours a week. That was number one that we discovered was the common average. The next one was they had all been in business at least 5 years or more. The other thing that we found out is their income, their top line revenue ranged between 500,000 and 1.5 million. Okay. The other thing that we discovered two things is they all wanted their freedom back. And so when I used the AI models and I said, okay, based on all these clients, what did we actually do for them? And it came back with, in a 90-day period, we did what's called a 90-day business transformation. We got the end result, the stats. I said, give me the top 3 results we achieved based off the numbers, based off the actual results. 36.5 hours, down from 75 hours was the average. 29.3% increase in profits in the first 90 days while taking a bunch of stuff off the plate of the owner. And the owner got a vacation finally after never having had a vacation. And now they're in a situation because of the systems that we put in place to take 3, 4, 5 vacations a year. I have a client of mine who just celebrated on December 22nd last year, 10 years with me after being in business for 6 months, close to $1 million a year, service-based business. Her and her husband made about $550,000 last year after everything was said and done. And at the end of the day, they took 6 family vacations for the year. Literally a total of 2.5 months, actually more than 3, almost 3 months off. And they only have a part-time W-2 employee. Okay. And 3 outside consultants. And all I've done is talk to her once a week for the last 10 years. Now, it just so happens her core business is business automation processes and systems for major attorney firms. Some of her attorney firm clients are 10,000 attorneys in one firm. I didn't even know you can pile that many sharks in a pool, and survive, right? But the point of the story is this. I have other clients, like the one I took on October 1st of last year, 12.5 years in business, a roofing company, one of the top roofing companies in all of the Sacramento region, $12.5 million over 37 years in business, and 29 employees, sitting on $21 million in signed contracts ready to be deployed. But because of the broken systems that they have, they can't get the projects done fast enough. And I was hired to get the owner free in 90 days to where he can actually sell the business. Got involved in the deal, discovered major family issues because the whole family works there as well. And when you everything's said and done, because during the 90-day transformation, we do first 30 days, we assess, second 30 days, we create plans and strategies and present, third 30 days, we implement. We discovered, hey, here's all your broken stuff, man. You're overstaffed by 8 people, by the way, because of these systems that you don't have, or they are broken. And so 90 days into it, everything's ready to go, fix the father-son relationship. And now the business runs without him. He's decided now he doesn't want to sell, because why sell it when it produces money and you don't have to actually be there? Okay. And I warned him that was going to be one of the outcomes. No, I want out, man. I want to sell. Like, I'm ready to go. I'm like, by the time I'm done what I'm going to do, me and my team are done and going to do what we're going to do. You have a systems problem. Okay. You have $12.5 million a year in revenue. You and your wife personally are taking home $1.7 million in personal income every year. Okay. But you have no life and you have no time. 90 days later, now got you down to 1.5 days a week. And now you're actually a bigger problem because you lost your baby and they no longer depend on you and they're off the tit for the lack of a better word. Okay. And you don't even know what to do with yourself no more. It took him 5 months to just go, what do I want to do in life now? I mean, I'm 63 years old. What do I do? Like, I'm not needed no more. See, that's a good problem to have when you have your systems in place. Now, great, good for him, good for me helping him, good for all those other clients I mentioned. Let me give you some real world stuff you can actually do, because you got two people on this call right here on this live call that can help you with all of this. Number one, Eddie can get you the capital that you need to hire the right people like Rita to put the right systems in place. Because see, Rita, your funnel godmother, who's on this live call, okay? Say hello, Rita.
Hi, everybody.
Okay. So for those that are listening to the podcast, those that are listening to the audio and want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Okay, great. So my email is info@ritathomasenterprises.com, and that's RITATHOMAS, and then enterprises with an S on the end.com. Info at Rita Thomas Enterprises, and have a website, ritathomasenterprises.com. I am thrilled to talk to you about any questions you might have.
So Rita has several systems that can fit a business that literally can automate the entire business operational system. Okay. So CRMs, marketing, PSA, process flow, lead capture, lead funnels, funnels for operations, funnels for systems, funnels for marketing, funnels for accounting and finance. That's why she's the funnel godmother.
Yeah.
And what happens is if you get the right software, you get the right systems in place. And if you're struggling with the money on how to do that, because you're like me, I don't want to do any of that. Okay. Then you go to Eddie, and Eddie will find you the capital, okay, to fund the project that you need to do here. Because at the end of the day, with the right systems, you can experience what those three separate business owners I just talked about all are. One's in a roofing company, one's in a document records management company, one is a window blinds and treatment company, and all of them achieved the similar result, which is the business is more profitable, 41% or higher EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. And the one common thing is they all get to take 4, 5, 6 weeks of vacation a year and actually not think about their business.
Yeah.
Okay. And so where do you start? Well, I'm glad everybody asked. So in the notes section, there's going to be a folder, a form in there called the 4-list business systems audit. I want you to get that, download it. You can brand it if you want. I don't really care. You could, it's not like I invented it. I got it from somebody I learned, I don't know, 25, 30 years ago when I started hiring employees. And this is still today how I hire employees or contractors or VAs or whatever, is twice a year I run this audit on my company. I just completed that in December. I just implemented everything on Monday. I have now been informed I am not allowed to do anything but what I'm doing here right now, and talking to a client and coaching them, or being on a stage speaking. I am no longer allowed to do anything else in my business. Now, I want everybody that's a business owner just pause for a minute and if that gives you a sense of panic, you have a systems problem. Okay. So I want you to imagine 80% of what you're currently doing in your company as the owner, you are no longer allowed to do. See, I had to put those I had to give my COO and my EA permission to protect me from me. Okay. There's a golden nugget. That is $1 million golden nugget right there. I know because I built $3 million companies with that advice. The faster I can get myself out of the way, the faster I can scale. And now, after 1,097 businesses later that I've consulted, I'm now scaling my fourth company. And the number one thing I have to do is I've gotten to the business to the point where I am the problem. Okay, I want to reiterate this. I'm gonna lean into the mic here. I got to a point as a business owner, as a CEO, the guy that calls the shots, the guy that can hire, fire, shut the whole thing down. I got to a point where I said, I humbly admitted, I am the problem. And if you're a small business owner and you have 5 employees, or you're under 100 employees, and the thought of taking 80% of what you currently do off your, now let me qualify this, you find yourself working 55 to 60 hours a week in, not on, in your business, you have a systems problem. And the thought of taking 80% of what you're currently doing off your plate and trusting somebody else to do it better than you, if that scares you, good. Because here's why. You got to let your ego down and admit that you have gotten the business, your very best has gotten you to where you are. And in order for things to change, you have to change. And the first step you got to do is you got to let go and admit you are the problem because everything centers around you. Now, here's some resources for you because I don't want to just leave you there. I want you to get the book. The following 4 books, and the top, actually, I'm going to give you 5, okay? Because the top CEOs in the world read 50 books a year, but what they don't tell you is they don't read 50 books a year. They take 5 books and they read them 10 times and they take the principles deeper, okay? Number 1 book, The Gap and the Gain by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Book number 2, once you have figured out that you're not a failure and you have actually grown a lot and so that book's going to help you understand is you need to operate more in the gain and not the gap. Now you're ready for the second book. Second book is called Who, Not How. Dan Sullivan, Benjamin Hardy. Get the audio version on these 3 books because Benjamin Hardy reads the book and then he interviews Dan Sullivan after each chapter, and that's not in the actual physical book. Okay. Valuable golden nuggets. He's going to teach you it's not a how problem. It is finding the right who and putting them in the right seat on the bus. And that's how you're going to scale. Not all who's are employees. Okay. Once you get those 2 books under your belt, now your next book is going to be called The Coaching Habit. It's by Michael Bungay, The Coaching Habit. Because I know from experience, and I know from thousands of business owners, you keep answering everybody's questions when they come to you as the owner. And as a result, you have built yourself a jail cell where you are the airline traffic controller for the company. Nobody can do anything without coming to you. And the reason they come to you is because you answer their question every time they come to you. If you stop answering their question and teach them how to answer their own question, and then you put a system in place that demands before you come to me, you better have gone to Google. You better have gone to AI. You better have done everything on this planet to solve your problem before you come to me, or that will be a career limiting decision that you make. And if you operate the way that book instructs you to operate, you're only going to get about 1 to 2 questions a month going forward from your employees. And then it's going to be very rare when it actually happens. Okay. And now that you've gone through that book, you're now ready for book number 4, which is 10X is easier than 2X. Again, it's that 3-part final series in Dan Sullivan's life, read and written by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. He reads it, interviews Dan Sullivan at the end, but the culmination of that book is how to let go of 80% of what you're doing so you can actually make a 10X leap in your business and personal life. And he lays it out where at the end of the day, you're going to give yourself 150 days off a year by doing this. And your business is going to 10X as a result of you getting out of the way with the right systems. And the reason that's book number 4 is because I got to prep you for what you have to do in that book, because it is a personal growth thing. And if you don't have the right systems in place, you're not going to scale and you're not going to grow. Okay. So again, those 4 books are going to save your life. Now, what is the 5th book? Now, I'm glad you asked. Okay. So those 4 books are the foundation. The next book is, I want you, if you haven't done it, okay, I want you to get what is that 5th one that I want to put in there that just really, really put the button on it? The Holy Bible. Okay. I want you to read Proverbs. I want to read 1 chapter a day, every day for 1 year. Okay. You don't want to do that? No problem. Get How to Win Friends and Influence People and read 1 chapter a day, because there's 31 chapters in that book too, every day for a year. Both books are designed to help you be a better person, be a better person where it's going to reprogram your subconscious mind to think in terms of the other person versus you. And you're now going to become this chief encouragement officer that you need to be, so that way your team explodes and grows the business beyond you, and it gets out of control because it no longer depends on you. And that's what you want. I talked to a guy who was interviewed on a podcast, a global podcast yesterday, and they've only been in business for 7 years, but they are now a $45 million company. Podcast show. Okay. $45 million. Okay. That episode will come out in about 2 or 3, actually about 3 weeks from now. But as we were having the discussion, you think about it, it's like I'm being interviewed on this show and I'm talking to one of the founders and I'm going down memory lane with him and he's helping me go down memory lane. And I realize it's like, it's not complicated. It's more easier to earn $45 million than it is $450,000. Because once you get your business in place where it has systems and it runs, it's actually a lot easier to 10X and 20X and 30X when you are the guy setting the vision, or gal setting the vision and getting the right team in place and then getting out of the way and being the one. Nobody's going to talk about your business better than you. But then you're in a place now where you hire a CEO to run it. And that's what happened with the roofing company. Get to the end, he decides, nope, this thing runs without me. So I am putting his son in place to be the CEO. He's still going to own the company. We're going to sell 81% to the son. He's going to ride off into the sunset with a 19% reoccurring check that comes in every single month for the rest of his life. Okay. And so if Eddie, you were going to be my call if he decided to sell from the outside, because I got somebody that can give you the money to buy the business. Okay.
That's
So
correct.
at the end of the day, when you look at it, everything you talked about, who has any questions or anything you want to add to the discussion today? Mr. Eddie.
No, I mean, listen, you hit the nail on the head. A lot of folks out there, they live, breathe the business, and to the point where not only they become a slave to it, when they go to sell it, they realize they can't sell it because they are the business, right? So in the long run, it hurt them. So you know, you have to learn to let go. You have to learn to delegate. You have to stop being a control freak and realize, I have 8 hours in a day. I want to be as productive as I can, but this machine needs to run without me, independent of me. And this machine is eventually going to be my legacy to the world, and whether my kids take it over or I sell it, so on and so forth. But it all starts with the right mindset, the right actions, and learning to bring in and outsource, to complement the skill set that you lack. You've already identified you're strong in certain areas, and you have people to support you. But now let's take care of the areas you're not as strong, and make up for it. And
Yeah.
it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. And just trust the process. Really, trust the process, and you'll get the desired outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'll add this.
Go for
When
it.
you think about systems, it's obvious in the human brain that yes, things run better on a system. However, a lot of business owners say to me, well, I don't want to use automation. It's cold and robotic, and I don't want my customers to get mad because they're getting too many emails. And a lot of business owners feel like it doesn't have the personal touch, and it's going to inundate my leads and my clients with too much. And it's completely the opposite of that. The computer won't do anything that you don't tell it to do.
Yeah.
And you set the pace. You determine how many emails are sent out over a period of time. You determine exactly what is said in those emails. It's in your voice. In fact, automated systems is a way to amplify and double and triple and quadruple your ability to touch your customers exactly the way they want to be touched and as often as they like, and to educate them and show how much you care about them exponentially. That's the word I was thinking of. It exponentially multiplies everything that you're already doing. You've already built this great relationship with your current clients. You know exactly how to speak to your prospective client to get them to convert. You're already running a successful business. A system is going to let that multiply, and you're in total control of everything that is said and how often the messages go out. And it just helps you do what you already do great, even better.
Yeah. What's interesting is this ties into systems. I was spending time. One of the systems I put in place last year. Okay, I always look for every year since 1992 when Clark Broom taught me this system called Baseline and Baseline Strategy. And I'm not going to spend time here today, but you can go to the YouTube channel. You can go back to any of the past recordings on podcast, and there's an episode called Baseline Strategy. You just look up Baseline Strategy, and you're going to find all the teachings I've done on Baseline Strategy. But one of the things when I'm doing my annual Baseline Strategy is I look for, okay, out of the 35, 40 ideas that I've got on the plate here that I want to do in this next year, what is actually one thing, like if I implement this one thing consistently and turn it into a system, will impact everything. Okay. And last year I decided, you know what? My morning routine. Okay, and there's all kinds of books written on morning routine. Hal Elrod wrote The Miracle Morning. I forget the author. He wrote the 5 a.m. Club. Some great resources out there on a good, solid morning routine. But I decided, you know what? If I put my own oxygen mask on first, Everything in this business plan, everything in my personal plan, everything in my life will actually work, and I'll be able to do it with a whole lot less stress. Okay. And so, in studying the most successful people on the planet, I discovered most of them guard sleep as if their entire life depends on it, because it does. And 7 to 8 hours is the number. Okay. Sean Stevenson wrote a book called 21 Ways to Sleep Smarter. Okay. I cannot for the life of me ever follow all 21 ways. But there are five ways in there that have made a big difference. No electronics an hour before sleep. No more heroin. I mean, no more no more food or beverage before I go to sleep, an hour before I go to sleep. Except water, and then if possible, get rid of the electronics out of your room. Haven't been able to do that one. Okay. But I have a set sleep time at 12 at 10 p.m. I shut down everything at 9. I start prepping my body for sleep. Okay. Melatonin works really good. Or Yogi, you can get it at Walmart or any other thing. Yogi makes a tea, a natural herb tea called Bedtime. And it's really, really relaxing, really, really good. Okay. Natural herb and supplement. And then I said, okay, for the entire year of 2025, I am going to get up at 5 a.m. Okay. And the secret is the very first thing you do is do not hit the snooze button. You get up, put your feet on the floor, because that will actually be, psychologically speaking, the hardest thing you do that day. And so right away, the moment I wake up, I'm checking off the biggest goal I have in the day, the hardest goal that I'm going to have to do that day, and I'm already ahead of the game, and I beat the sun up. Can you imagine everything centers around the sun, according to the scientists, and the earth really revolves around the sun. I beat the sun up, brother. I kicked the sun's butt. Okay. That's a Grant Cardonism, by the way. And so beat the sun up. And I decided 5 a.m. Get my coffee. I spent a good hour and a half meditation, journaling, prayer, reading, whatever. That is very personal. I've gotten to the point now I don't even have agenda. I just wake up. Okay. Come in my office here, shut the door. I'm like, okay, you got me, man. What's on the agenda today, baby? And because at the end of the day, in one of those sessions this year, I went to I really resonated with the whole chapter of Psalm 139 all throughout the year. And there's one verse in there that really changed my life. And it says, this is how the New Living Translation goes, Psalm 139, verse 16. You saw me before I was born. Every day of my life was recorded in your book. Every moment was laid out before a single day had passed. And it really hit me. I'm like, okay, so the fact that I'm sitting here this morning at 5 a.m. talking to you, you already knew this day was going to happen, man. That's kind of eerie. It's like yesterday's gone. And how I understand this and how I honestly believe this, I don't even know if tomorrow's going to happen. And then Jesus backs it up and he goes, hey, man, don't worry about Matthew chapter 6. Don't worry about tomorrow. Okay. You can't even add a moment, not a second, not a day, not a minute. You can't even add a moment to your life. So don't worry about it. Worry about today. It's got enough of its deal. And so that's kind of the mode I get into. And I wake up and I come in here and I get my coffee and I go, hey, all right, obviously yesterday wasn't it. And I just start smiling. I go, you gave me like yesterday wasn't the last. Okay. You already decided that ahead of time, like 56 years ago, before I was even born. And so you already saw this day. I'm excited, man. What do you got in store, dude? Oh my God. Did he call God, dude? Yeah, I did. According to his word, I'm a son. So I talk to my own dad like that. My kid talks to me like that. Yeah. And so I'm like, hey, what do you got in store, dude? Yeah. What do you got in store, God? And we have a time, man. But By the time I get out of that hour and a half, that's when I'm sitting there planning my day out. So I put my own oxygen mask on first, plan my day out. I literally go, okay, Proverbs 16, verse 6 through 9 says, I'm laying out my plans and I'm turning it over to you, God. It's in your hands, man. This is what I think I'm going to do today. That's what I mean, as far as I know, that's what I'm going to do today. You feel free to interrupt it. And then I tell you what, the other magic move I did, because the morning routine was very, very sacred. Took care of myself, planned my day, and then I spent 1 hour, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. with my wife, Allison. Okay. And so from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., nobody gets me except God and my wife. Before I touch the world, I don't check email. I literally during that time, I got to the point where I'm like, I don't want to know what's going on. I don't check Facebook. I don't check email. I don't check my computer. I don't check anything. And as a result, I experienced more freedom, more growth, more personal growth, better systems, better choices as a business owner, better choices in every area of my life, because I made that was my one thing, my one system I put in place last year, and it affected every area of my life, including my business. My business tripled last year as a result. I got better people. And this year, I'm like, okay, man, this is cool, man. Baseline strategy, right? It's a system. I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing because it's working. And now, what is the one system I'm adding for 2026? And what I found out is if me and my wife are right, everything else is right. And so I said, okay, you get the best, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And because I'm going to sleep at 10, you're going to get that 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. slot too. And she goes, I can't believe I'm an appointment. And I'm like, you know what? My brain operates that way. That's why it's in my calendar. Okay. You don't have to put it in your calendar, but that's the system I have to have for me. And what I've discovered is I get to start with the best relationship. I get to end my day with the best relationship. My sleep has dramatically improved. And as a result, I am almost 10 times more productive during the day now than I have been in a very long time. Everything else is not a pressure. It's not an issue, but it has turned into a system. And as a result, I actually get more done in my company as a whole, probably 10 times more now than I was at this time last year. And I'm actually working less hours because I have a great team and I have great systems. So the power of systems when you are a CEO, when you are a business owner, okay? Work your butt off until you are just literally buried. Keep it lean. Get with Eddie, because it's not just go to Eddie for money, okay? That is not the genius of what he is, okay? The genius of what he is you go to him before you need him, okay? And you connect with him and you say, listen, man, I'm a business owner. I just started. I'm a business owner. I got $5 million in revenue. I'm a business owner. I got $50 million. It doesn't matter. I'm a business owner. And at one point in time, I'm going to need money. But more importantly, I don't know how to manage cash flow, capital. Am I ready? Am I not? And so the best time to come to Eddie is like developing a relationship with a realtor. You go to the capital readiness specialist when you don't need the capital. So that way Eddie can develop a relationship with you now. Because if you're in business and you're going to grow to an actual business where you have employees, you're going to need capital. And businesses are going to cycle. And if you don't believe it, just stick around for about 7 years and you're going to experience a cycle. And it's going to be painful if you don't do what I'm telling you to do right now. You meet with Eddie Mohammed, you lay out your books, it's all confidential, and you say, am I capital ready for the goals that I have and the business plan that I have? Am I properly? Most people, I tell you, man, it's scary. Most people do not, they do not have enough working capital. They could be 5, 10, 15, 20 million dollars in revenue and still not have the right amount of working capital. It's like shocking. But the one aha moment I had when I was talking to a client like a week ago or whatever, the true genius of Eddie, my friend Eddie Mohammed here, is he's the guy you go to if you have never actually sat down with a CPA. If you have actually, I don't care how successful you are, if you don't know what the proper working capital is requirement is for your business goals, you've never been trained. And so a system this year, if you find yourself constantly struggling to make payroll, constantly, borrowing from this or that, or taking out a loan here, or taking out a loan here, or using this or using that, if you can't pay everything off every month, you need to sit down with Eddie and go, okay, here's my deal. Help me create a plan on how to be better ready in my business capital wise. Maybe that's the system you put in place this year. Okay. But you're not going to know that if you don't carve out time to work on your business and work on you. So the one thing I'll leave for you before we go, and the system of the month, is the homework before next month's episode is, or next week's episode for that matter, okay, is sit down, get yourself a morning routine. If you don't know how to do that, go to johnpyron.com, click on book appointment. You will not talk to me. You'll talk to Alicia Turner, my Pepper Potts EA. And then if she says I can talk to you, notice the words there. Okay. If she says I get to talk to you, then I get to talk to you. Okay. Because she is designed to protect me from me and my time. Also, while you're doing that, okay, you can say, hey, what is Eddie Mohammed's phone number? Okay. What is his information? Can you introduce me to him? Because I need to have a capital readiness appointment, a capital readiness strategy session with Eddie Mohammed to sit down and lay out a completed written strategy for the working capital needs of my company for the next 3 to 5 years. Not just now, but you need a capital readiness strategic plan that goes with your strategic business plan. Because me and Eddie are a 1-2 punch. I can lay out a strategy and a plan for your business that is eerily accurate. Like, you don't ever have to talk to me again, and you just follow the roadmap. But if you are not properly capitalized, all I'm going to do is drain your bank account, because you're not going to have enough money, and you're not going to understand profitability enough, because I'm going to blow up your business. I'm going to increase the hell out of your revenue. And all that's going to do for most of you business owners, you're going to spend more. Okay. You're going to continue with the same bad habits that got you to where you are. And I don't care if you're making $100,000 a year, or if you're like a client I talked to last week making $25 million a year, it still doesn't have enough capital. It's like, you need a capital readiness plan. Now, once you do that, you at the same time you're talking to Alicia, what is Rita, the funnel godmother's phone number? Because John's going to give me the strategic plan. Eddie's going to give me the money to make sure I'm dialed in. And then I'm going to spend it on Rita. So that way I can get all the systems in place, so I'm not the one spinning all the plates. And then if you need more resources, me and Eddie have built an ecosystem together of every resource known to man. We got in-house counsel, bookkeepers, accountants, you name it, man. But it all starts with, you got to have a plan. Okay. You got to have the money to support that plan. You got to have systems in place to do that. I'm glad it's you guys showed up here today, because I didn't realize I was going to connect the dots like this. But that's what you need as a business owner. And guess what? It's your choice. You can choose not to do it and stay right where you're at. Or you can decide, this is my year, going to be the best year I've ever had, and I'm going to get my freedom. And so every Monday, every Wednesday, show up here live. You can ask whatever question you want. Me and Eddie are going to answer it. the best we can, or we're going to guide you to somebody in our network that can help you. So I hope today's call has been valuable. Have a great